The year is 1993, and we're going to follow a group of friends as they go into the city to see a boxing match, only to take a detour off the beaten path to get around traffic, and then their night turns into a living hell. Now, we're just going to have some fun reviewing a really cool thriller from the early 90s. Let's get into it. Hey, welcome back to my channel. I hope everybody is safe and well out there. And last night, I rewatched a movie I haven't seen in a few years, but it's one of my favorite thrillers from the 90s, and that thriller is Judgment Night. This movie was released in October of 1993. It was rated R, hour and 50 minutes, had a budget of $21 million, and sadly, upon release, it only made 12 and a half, but there's a reason. It was only in theaters for 2 weeks, and I'll get into later why that was. And this movie was directed by Stephen Hopkins. Stephen Hopkins directed Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5. While a good-looking movie, it was a rush production, and it was a shitty sequel, in my opinion. I don't like that movie, but it does look nice. It's really nicely shot. He also directed Predator 2 before this film, which I will contend is a damn good sequel, and I will stick by that. It's not as good as the original, don't get me wrong, but there's some great action set pieces in the film, and I think it moves the goalposts enough on the Predator's lore to make it a worthwhile sequel. He also directed Ghost in the Darkness in the 90s with Val Kilmer and Michael Douglas. I really like that film as well. And this movie came out a year after another cool action thriller called Trespass, starring Bill Paxton, William Sadler, Ice-T, and Ice Cube. And I really like that film as well. I'm going to review that soon, coming up within a week or so, when I'm just got to find time to sit down and watch that film. But this movie has a good cast as well, and we have Emilio Estevez in this film as Frank. We have Cuba Gooding Jr. in here as Mike. Dennis Leary as Fallon, the main gangster, main bad guy in this film. Stephen Dorff as John, Frank's younger brother. Jeremy Piven Ray, one of Frank and John's friends. And we have Eric Schrade in here. He's from Everlast. He plays Rhodes, one of Fallon's goons. And Frank, Mike, John, and Ray are all friends. They grew up together. And I got to be honest, the cast really sells it. You believe they're friends in this film. They have good camaraderie, the banter back and forth. It all rings true. It feels like these guys have been friends for years. So I got to give the actors credit there. And all the actors are very solid. These are all good actors. I know some of the actors get shit, but I like a lot of these actors. And basically, this movie is a very simple setup. In the beginning of the movie, we're introduced to Frank and his wife and his young daughter. They're standing on the front porch and they're having a conversation, and his wife is not thrilled that Frank's going out with his friends because they're all immature and they don't have families. He's the only one with a family. And he's like, look, I haven't been out of the house in 3 months. I need this. And the wife's like, well, I haven't been out of the house. And so they have a little bit of an argument. And then Mike shows up, Cuba Gooding Jr. shows up, and they talk a little bit. And then Ray shows up in an RV. And they're like, where the hell did you get the RV? He's like, well, I was talking to an RV salesman, and he decided to let me take it out on a test drive tonight. So we're going to take it. And then they had a ticket for another friend. I can't remember his name. They say his name. But here, Frank invited his younger brother, John, to go with them because their one friend was unavailable. He couldn't go. And they get in the RV and they start heading into the city for a boxing fight. That's pretty much the setup of the film. And when they're on their way into the city, they hit a lot of traffic. And Ray starts getting impatient, and so do the other guys, because they're starting to miss the early matches at the boxing fight. But they're watching on the TV in the back, and they're like, I'd really rather be ringside, but at least we get to watch it. And Ray backs up the RV and goes down this off-ramp. And as soon as he gets off, it's like they're in another world. It's like a warehouse district, really run down. Not what these guys are used to by any stretch. And they're driving around these neighborhoods, and they can't find their way around. And all of a sudden they're going down, and there's nobody around really except for a couple bums here and there. And they're going down the street, and all of a sudden somebody runs out in front of them, and Ray clips this guy with the RV. And he stops. He doesn't want to even get out to check. He goes, let's just keep going. We don't know what the hell it was. And they get out, and they find this guy laying there. But not only did they clip him, he's also hurt because he was shot. He's a gunshot wound. So they take him into the RV, and the guy has a bag of cash on him. And he's like, you got to get me out here. You got to get me out here. They're going to kill me. They're going to kill me. And so Frank takes control of the RV and starts driving around because they see a police car. They're trying to trace the police car down. And as they're doing, this car comes out of nowhere. It clips them and pushes them into this alley, and they crash the RV, and it gets stuck. And all of a sudden, these guys show up, smash out the back window, and take this guy that they clipped. And here's where we're introduced to Dennis Leary. And he ends up shooting this guy right in the head, and the guys witness it, and the guys are like, we're screwed. He's going to kill us all. And they smash the front window out and escape the RV, and they set the RV on fire. because the guys already started shooting at them and cause a distraction. They start running around this neighborhood that they're unfamiliar with. And they go from place to place, and Stephen Hawkins does a nice job. You can see everything. You can see everything going on. He does a really nice job framing it and keeping the tension high. And finally, they end up at these apartment buildings, these tenements. Like, they're definitely in the ghetto. And they go up in this building, and they convince one woman that live in the building to let them in the apartment to use their phone. And she does. And they call the cops, and they're sitting there waiting. And Fallon shows up, and the guy's like, the cops will be here any minute. And the lady's like, yeah, the cops, you can get shot outside. The cops won't be here for a while. So I wouldn't expect them, but you got to go. They're going to kill us all. And they go up, she tells them about up on the roof. There's a way the kids use to get over to the next building. So they go up to the roof because it's their only way out. And John goes across the ladder first. It's basically this fiberglass ladder between buildings. And he goes across first, and Cuba Gooding Jr.'s character goes across. And then Ray is scared of heights, so Frank tries to convince him to go across, and he doesn't want to do it. And then he says, okay, I'll follow you, you go. So Frank goes across, and then Ray throws the ladder off, because by this point, Dennis Leary and his goons are up there, and he goes, I'm going to negotiate our way out of this. And Dennis Leary and his guys come down to where Ray is, and he starts negotiating with them, and he goes, look, I'll give you $100,000 if you let us walk away, and we won't say anything. And at first, it's like Dennis Leary's considering it, and so does some of his other guys are like commenting like, oh, 100,000, that's nice of you. But then the switch turns, and Dennis Leary's like, who the fuck do you think you are coming into my neighborhood and think you can buy me off? He goes, I don't trust your ass. You don't know who I am or what I've been through or what I do. And he goes, I'm going to fucking kill you and all your friends. And he pushes them off the roof and kills them. And the other guys are upset, but they take off. They end up down in the sewers. And then they end up killing one of Dennis Leary's guys down there. And they make their way back up to the street, and they end up in this department store. And they set off the alarm, and the security guards show up. But unfortunately, Dennis Leary shows up too, kills the security guards. And this is where we get our final battle. Frank and Dennis Leary had the final battle in this department store. And it's a knockdown, drag-out fight. And eventually Frank wins after taking a beating and kills Dennis Leary's character. And the cops show up, and these guys can go back to their normal lives. This movie is very well constructed. And you like the characters. Dennis Leary, even though he's the bad guy, he has charisma. You kind of like him, but you also kind of hate him because he is ruthless in this film. It's a really well put together suspense movie. I got to say, Stephen Hopkins does a great job keeping the pace going. The actors all do really, really well for what they're given to do. And it's nicely shot. And at the end of the movie, I was completely satisfied. I've always liked this film. I know this film, now getting back to why the movie didn't do too well at the box office before I give it a rating. When this movie was released in the Bronx, there was a shooting during a screening of this film. And the media blamed this movie. And after 2 weeks in the theaters, the distribution got yanked, and it got yanked out of theaters. That's why it only did $12.5 million at the box office, which is a really shame. It's a really good film. I know it got discovered later on video, and I know the soundtrack was popular because you had like Ice-T doing a song with Slayer. You had Biohazard on it. I know it was a popular soundtrack with some of the friends I hung out with when I was that age. But yeah, I always liked Judgment Night. It's a really good suspense movie. Suspense thriller. If you haven't seen it, I recommend checking it out. I give the movie an 8.5 out of 10. It's really well done. I highly recommend it. Have you seen this movie? What are your thoughts? Leave a comment down below. Let me know. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up. I'd greatly appreciate it. Subscribe to my channel. I'd appreciate that as well. And that is it for me. I'll be back with another review soon. Stay safe. Take care of yourselves. And I'll see you later.